Okay, welcome back. We're talking about the design considerations for building custom charts. So we've just finished talking about how you don't want the needle to go beyond the stop on this side and beyond the stop on that side. So we're going to have to create some Excel formulas to make sure that doesn't occur. Now the next section here talks about creating a thing called a chart template. So once you've got one of these charts and you got it exactly the way you want it, you can actually save it in Excel and then use it over again in not just that spreadsheet, but use it again in different spreadsheets. So it's a pretty cool feature. The problem is that it only allows one chart type to be stored as a template. Now what we're going to do is we're going to build several chart types and stack them on top of each other. If you recall, let me just show you this example. So here's an example of what we're going to build. So this is actually 3 charts on top of each other. There's a color band chart, and then a number chart, and then the needle. Okay, that's 3 charts and they're stacked on top of each other. Okay, when it comes time to storing this as a template, it's only going to store one of these things. So we need some technique of collapsing these other charts together. And the way we're going to do it in the demo is we're actually just going to take a screenshot, so to speak, of the screen and just convert it into a graphics file. Okay. Then you can save this thing as a template and then you can install it. And we're going to demo that in just a second. Okay. So back to doing what we're doing. All right. So we're going to build one of these things. So step 1 in this process is I need to build this color scale. Now, to make this thing work is I want the math to be kind of simple for me. So I want in behind the scenes, I mean, this one goes from minus 30 to 30, but behind the scenes, I want that to be 0 right there, and I want that to be 100, okay? So think about this. I want this to be the 0%, and 50% would be this way. This would be like 75%, that would be 100%. So just to make the math easy, I want that color band to go from 0 to 100. Now, it doesn't really matter what those numbers are. You could have it from 0 to 1,000, okay? It doesn't really matter. I just chose the numbers that was just convenient for me and that my head can kind of get around. So 0 to 100. Now, this particular color band actually has 5 parts. A red, yellow, light green, dark green, and then there's another part right here, okay? Now, to make this thing a complete circle, and that if this is going to go from 0 to 100, what's this part going to be? Well, I just pulled a number out of my ass and said it's going to be 50. Okay, so this would be 25, 25, 25, 25, and 50. This will make a little more sense when we do it. So let's just do it. Okay, here we go. So I want to make a donut chart with some colors. 25% of the donut is going to be red, 25% is going to be yellow, 25% is going to be the light green, 25% dark green, and then 50 is going to be transparent. Okay, now again, I made those numbers up, but it just kind of makes it easier for me. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and go insert me a donut chart. Now in 2010, the donut chart is actually one of the ones that shows up on the list. If you're using 2013, 2016, you go to the pie chart section, and then like a subdivision under the pie is where the donut things are. Okay, so I'm going to hit the button. There's my donut. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to have to make some changes. Like, for example, the donut's too thick. Doesn't look at all like that. And I don't need a legend over here at all. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to squash this thing together. And just to make it easier to put, because later on, we're going to put things on top of each other. Okay, we're going to do that. So rather than me just eyeballing this, I'm actually going to go to the chart. Okay, I'm making sure I'm on the chart area. And I'm going to go to the, whoops, come on. Here we go. Nope, that's axis. Oh, come on, babe. Yeah, format chart area. And I'm actually going to go into the size and tell it exactly how big this thing is. So I'm going to, rather than me guess, I'm going to go in there and make it exactly 3 inches. And the reason is, we're going to build several charts and put them on top of each other, okay? So it kind of makes sense to start these things off rather than eyeballing them. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I need to change the thickness of the donut hole. I don't know. Okay, So if I go to Format Data Series, one of the things is the donut hole. And I'm going to make it 75%. Okay, now that looks an awful lot like our dashboard, doesn't it? Not bad. Okay, so several things have to happen. This first number starts at the 12 o'clock, and then it sweeps around like this, okay? So I need to rotate this guy around. So this part, remember this big part, this is 25, 25, 25, 25, and this is 50, you know, twice as big as the other guys, right? This has to be at the bottom. So I need to rotate that entire thing and just rotate it, okay? So let's do that. Right click, go into Format Series, and there's a little thing for rotation. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So I scoot it over and I go, nah, a little bit more, a little bit more. Hey, we're getting pretty close, you know. And I can tell you I've done the math, and what we want it to be is 240, all right? I'm just telling you that to make it a little bit easier. So that makes it exactly right, okay? Cool. Now I need to go in there and change the color of each individual piece of this pie. Now when I click on this, if I click one time, you see how it selects every single one of these guys? That's not what I want. And you click on it a second time, and you select just the single data element. So I'm going to click this one, because I want this one to be the red one. So okay, now let's try that again, one more time. One click selects them all. Second click selects just the one that I want. Okay, let's do this. Format Data Point. Go to my fill color, tell it I want solid, and pick red. Okay, I got my red. Now this is supposed to be the yellow one. So I click on it. By the way, once you're in the data element mode or item mode, point mode, whatever it's called, it's pretty easy to select future ones. Okay. This is supposed to be fill, solid, and we're going to make this guy yellow. This one's going to be kind of the light green one. So Format Data Point, fill, solid, and let's pick a light green. And this guy, format, fill, solid, dark green. And this guy I want to be transparent. So I click on him. And I do Format, Fill, Solid. Doesn't matter what color you pick, because when you make it 100% transparent, it ain't there. Okay. Cool. Now that looks pretty doggone similar to this, doesn't it? Woohoo! Alright, there I have one of my charts. Now remember, we're going to have multiple charts on top of each other, okay? So the next chart that I need is the numbers. Okay, so this guy shows numbers from minus 30 up to 30. Okay, now I can't put labels on the 4 colors, right? Because I have more than 4 of these guys, right? So it has to be another chart to be able to make that work. So here's my colors, and here's going to be my, I don't know, numbers, whatever you want to call this thing. And so let's just put them out. So I'm going to say this is one of the points is going to be minus 30, and then I'm going to do it by 5. So this would be minus 25, minus 20, minus 15. Yikes. Minus 10. Actually, you know, this is the cool thing. I could have just used the fill because it can figure this thing out. Okay. Now, here's where the fence post problem comes up. Okay. This is the number of fence posts, right? Because the numbers are the actual kind of fence posts that are going to show up on this guy. And I have 13 of these guys, okay? So what's the distance between here and there? Is it 13? If I have 11 fence posts, and that's a distance of 100 feet, right? Remember the story? Okay. So here I have 13 fence posts, but the distance between them is actually 12 units of 12. I know, this is a little crazy. So when I want to put these guys in here, I need to be able to come up with a way to go in and put numbers in to make these things work out. So now that I have the numbers, I need to put the actual things in the chart, the actual values in the chart. So if this is supposed to be the hundreds, remember this is the 50 part, this is the 100 part. So that would be 100 divided by 12, okay? Not, oh, well, you know, it helps if you make us a formula. Okay? Not 13. I count this guy up. There are 13 fence posts, but the distance is only 12. Okay? Whew. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this guy and pull it all the way down. Okay, now this, when we're done, has to equal to 150, doesn't it? Because this is 100 to here, and that's equal to 50. So right off the bat, I've got 108. So what I need for this to be is whatever is left over, right? It'd be the sum of this minus 150, okay? I know, this is a little weird, so just bear with me. So 150 minus the sum of this. And it comes out. Now let me just check the math. By the way, this is the spacing for the numbers, okay? So let me just line this thing up and make sure over here down at the bottom the sum is 150, just like it's supposed to be. Just like this is 150, okay? All right, I know, you're probably going, what on earth is he doing? But just bear with me, I promise. So what we're going to do is we're going to build another pie chart, a donut chart, that using this as the spacing, and then we're going to use this as the numbers. All right. Okay. Whew. Okay. Here we go. So I'm going to grab this and say insert donut, and we'll do the same thing we did before. I'm going to grab this and get rid of it. Ding. Instead of me manually going in and tweaking this thing, going in here, put this to be about the same, the 75%. In fact, I'm going to type it in since it's just a little easier for me to do. Let's change the size of this guy, and so I don't want to go in there and accidentally get it the wrong size, so I'm just going to have it go in and do it exactly 3 inches by 3 inches so that it's going to be exactly right. So next we're going to rotate this guy, and we're going to start with 240 degrees, and I'll explain how that will need to be tweaked in just a minute. So I'm going to format series, and we'll start with 240 like we've been doing, and it'll be close, and I'll explain why. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add data labels. Now typically when you add a data label to something, it actually shows the values here, right? So let's do this. Let's go in here and add data labels. Well, that's clearly not the data labels that we want. So I'm going to go here and go to select data. And so my labels are not going to be this column at all. It's going to be this column. And by the way, it's perfectly okay to not have the same number. So I'm going to go here and select this range. Okay. So now that I have that, this is the part that's kind of weird. Do I want to show the values, or do I want to show the category? In other words, I had to tell it, do I not want to show numbers? Okay, cool. All right, now you can see where the rotation didn't actually work the way we wanted it. The 0 clearly has to be smack dab in the middle. So let's rotate this guy one more time. So I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm kind of just going to eyeball it because I haven't really done the math. And so I'm just going to tweak this guy until it works the way I want it to. Now you could actually do the math and figure out exactly where this thing goes, but I'm gonna. Because it would be 8.3 minus 240. In fact, let's just do that. So 240, come on, behave. So 240, well, screw it. I don't want to spend too much time doing math. Okay, so in my way of thinking, that's pretty doggone close. How about 239, something like that. Okay. All right, one more time. I bet I can get this thing pretty doggone close. How about 230? Okay, that's close enough for government work. All right. Now you may have noticed that when we put the data labels in, it actually shrunk the donut. I'm not exactly sure why adding data labels alone did the shrinking, but hey, it did. Okay, so now that I got these things the right size, I can just grab this guy and drop him right on top of that, and it'll all line up. Well, it lined up, kinda, but I have to deal with transparency, don't I? Now, there's two kinds of transparencies, but this is a good place to stop for the 15-minute mark. We'll pick this thing up again in just a few.